share. Okay. Okay, I think it's working. Okay, so I already have a message on the. Okay, Qatar is saying hello to everyone. So yeah, I was saying Rare Peeps is a meme trading card. Go ahead.
1 second, we are seeing this screen, so maybe we can just click here and say duplicate.
Oh wait, no, but this way I cannot see it in here.
Are you want to see the notes? Okay.
You sure? Maybe this
Okay,
one.
let it be then. No worries.
You will probably see my notes, but it's okay. I'm not really following my notes.
Yeah.
Some of them are even like notes from other classes, so I'm kind of improvising. So yeah, Rare Peeps was like the first trading cards NFT. It was a collection of memes based on a meme called Peep the Frog. Okay. Actually, this one that I put here is supposedly the rarest one that was sold by like, I don't know, I don't want to say millions, but a lot. And it's the Nakamoto card, so based on Satoshi Nakamoto. Then we have CryptoPunks, which you probably already heard of. It's like profile picture, NFTs. Then we have CryptoKitties, which was the first blockchain-based game. Then we have NBA Top Shots, which is the first like major company-based NFT. So it's like basketball moments of a certain game converted into an NFT. So that was like very famous back in 2020. Then we have Axie Infinity, which is a game that had a very big controversy, or it kind of failed. So it was very famous in 2021, and then in 2022, it kind of like went down, and it was a whole story. I'm not going to go into it, but you can search for like Axie Infinity fail or something. And then now in 2023, we have Bitcoin ordinals. So this is actually very interesting because it's kind of like a reproduction of Bitcoin colored coins, but now the technology has evolved a lot. And as you can see, they're very similar to these guys over here. Mm-hmm. So it's now a way, it's still very new, but it's a new way to inscribe data and to create NFTs on Bitcoins. So every time you see BTC ordinals, they're NFT, they're Bitcoin NFTs. Okay, I don't know the technical part of how this is possible, but apparently now it is possible. And they created those guys, which are like CryptoPunks, because CryptoPunks are based on Ethereum, and now you have the Bitcoin version. So that's super interesting, and it's very, very recent. Okay. So this is like a timeline of the companies entering the NFT space. This is just on.
Just see if I can fix it. Yeah, share. I think we should do screen 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So this is a timeline of companies entering NFT space, and this is just between January and October of 2021. So 2021 was like the hype of NFTs. Like everyone wanted to get on this and to monetize and to make money out of NFTs. And this is just the US. So as you can see, so many companies like Burger King, like like Instagram, Fox Entertainment, Coca-Cola, Louis Vuitton, like so many companies launched their own NFTs or had like NFT projects. Okay, so here are some of the possible use cases for NFTs. I will go through maybe almost all of them, and I have some more question marks here because new use cases can also be created. So this is the coolest part of my presentation because I managed to put small videos of NFTs in there. Because you obviously have the first use case, which is probably the one that first started becoming well known. So back in 2021, I think, Some people discovered NFTs because on like communication on traditional media, they reported that there was that painting called The First 500 Days by an artist called People that sold, and I have here, $70 million. So it's the fourth most expensive artwork to be sold at Christie's, which is an auction house of art, very well known. And this was sold for 70 million, which is crazy. And like it was, I don't know how many NFTs this created, so I don't think it was only one NFT. So you could buy a small part of this painting and be an owner of a small part of that painting. So that's when everyone discovered NFTs and everyone wanted to get in on this because they heard that it gave money, right? So then we have what actually is the most expensive painting so far as an NFT, which is this one, the merch, which is nothing special, I think. At least the other one was actually like small paintings that a guy drew for 500 days. This one, I mean, I don't really enjoy it. And then you can also have, for example, GIFs. So this one you have the Nyan cat GIF, which is kind of like a meme, but it was also turned into an NFT, which I screenshotted and put in there. Then we have digital art. So you have, for example, this one is just sculptures. So you can also have just digital sculptures turned into NFTs, but you can also have the digital version of it and then tied to a real sculpture in the real world. So sometimes when you buy the NFT, you also get the physical part of it, or the NFT is like a certificate of authenticity of like the physical sculpture or painting or whatever. And then profile pictures. So I don't know who wrote silly pictures on that care. Okay, Anish. So this is what you normally call silly pictures, but I'm going to demystify this a bit. Okay, so these are not. Some of them are just profile pictures. Okay, you pay tons of money to buy an NFT just to put on like your Twitter profile picture. That also exists, but you also have the other type of NFT profile pictures. For example, Bored Apes. Who here has heard about Bored Apes? Okay, quite a few people because it's very, very well known. Tons of celebrities like musicians, actors, whatever, they bought Bored Apes because when you buy a Bored Ape, it's not only a profile picture NFT, but it's also a ticket to like exclusive parties where all of those celebrities or all of those people that own that NFT can go. So it gives access to, it's like what I call the utility tokens. It gives you access to certain exclusive things. So it's not only a profile picture. Or like, for example, you have like a car that you want to show off, or like a painting that you want to show off. If you have this, you're also showing off to your friends or to anyone that sees on the internet that you're special and that you belong to like this exclusive club. So it's not always silly pictures. They might look a bit silly. This one, like Doodles, is one of my favorite ones. It's really cool. And Azuki, like the artwork is really, really cool. I prefer it a lot better than the Bored Apes. And actually, that one that I put there is the most expensive Bored Ape to be sold so far. So it's like millions for that picture. But don't forget, it's not only a picture, it's a ticket to something exclusive. Okay, so these are currently the top NFT collections so far. So you have obviously Bored Ape, you have CryptoPunks, which I introduced before. You have Mutant Ape, which is a variation of Bored Ape. It's made by the same company. You have Azuki, which was the picture in the middle that I showed in the last slide. And you have another one, which I'm not so familiar with, but it's also like profile pictures. So as you can see, the top NFT collections as of today, because I took this screenshot yesterday, they're all profile pictures based. They are not like some really useful NFT that will change the world, that is like tokenizing trees and helping pollution. No, it's profile pictures. But again, they're not only profile pictures, they're all like exclusive clubs that people want to belong to. Then I have a news article here called how the Porsche NFT drop, crashed, and burned. So Porsche last year launched their own NFT collection, and it failed. So there are several reasons for this. You can say it was like a marketing failure. They didn't hype it properly because there are several factors to launch an NFT collection, and this one did not work out. So they ended up like stopping the minting. Minting is like the creation of NFTs. They stopped the minting process of NFTs, and then they sold like each NFT for like $1,000. So this is very, very low normally for an NFT collection that supposedly should go to like millions, especially tied to like a very well-known brand name, which is Porsche. Okay. So trading cards. You also have NFT trading cards. You have, for example, the NFL, which is like American football, rugby, whatever you want to call it. You have football trading cards. I think this one is quite popular in Portugal. And then you have, for example, Gods Unchained, which is a trading card game. So it's a blockchain-based game. I have tried it. It's cool. I have never like traded the NFTs or anything. I don't have time for that. But it's actually one of the best implementations of NFTs into a game. So you get this card, it's an NFT, you can trade it with other people, you can actually make money out of this if you play the game a lot. And then we have fashion. And like, remember, I have this here. So it's not this one because this one is super expensive. I actually won this a at like a conference, but there is a QR code here, and I will probably scan it and show it to you. But these are phygital NFTs. So what are phygital NFTs? The name phygital, which is horrible. None of us in this industry like the name phygital, but it's physical plus digital. Why? Because you have the digital representation of something and then you have the physical. So if you buy that NFT, you actually get the watch, the physical watch. If you buy the hoodie, you get the digital and you get the internet's not working so well. Okay, so you get the hoodie, and then this one, as you remember, the CryptoPunks. If you have your own NFT CryptoPunk, you could have a necklace of that, and this is worth like thousands, if not millions. So for this one, I have this hoodie, which is a phygital hoodie. And if I scan this QR code, I'm going to try and show you, but you have like the history of this, and like you have the like how it was produced. So I can actually see like that the wool material came from this factory in this country. You can see like several different, for example, it says 100% organic cotton made in France, origin of the fabric Greece, knitting of the fabric Portugal. Okay, so it shows me the history of my hoodie and how it was made, and it certifies that it's an authentic hoodie from this company. So this is a phygital and it's connected to a crypto wallet that I had to create, just like you created MetaMask yesterday. I had to create a wallet from this company called Ariani to see this information that is registered on the blockchain about my hoodie.
Some marketing campaigns are using the term digital for banks to say we are the digital, digital, physical. So
okay.
We are straightforward.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here normally when you say digital, it's these types of NFTs. So normally they're like wearable NFTs, you know, so a necklace, glasses, a watch, a hoodie. So yeah.
I was just curious, it's 90, does it use a public blockchain or do they have their own blockchain?
I think they don't have their own. I think they use probably, I'm not going to say it's Ethereum, it might be Polygon. I'm going to also present you the main blockchains for NFTs because some are better than others. But yeah, I don't think they, yeah.
Giving the example that you there, this is called those companies put negative value on it because they can put that the vote is made.
Yes, exactly.
How it will work.
Of course, and here, I mean, there's one very important thing about blockchain. You can put, so blockchain, I mean, what is written in there is archived in there, but you can feed it false information, obviously. But, I mean, that's the flaw with all of these technologies. I mean, humans are the ones that are making the mistakes, not the technology. But yes, you can say, for example, mine, I know that it was knitted in Portugal, that the cotton came from Greece, and that it was like designed somewhere else. So yeah, probably if you sold this at the store, it would be way more expensive.
If the NFT would be publicly accessible according to Danish said, that there is a market overview regarding if the company is telling the truth or not.
Yeah, of course, it's auditable by everyone, the process. So I know, or at least I believe, that this was not made by little kids in Pakistan, for example. Yeah. So that's one of the main advantages of blockchain, is the traceability, and you can use that for wine, even for fish that is like fish that in the sea. You can know that it came from that place. It was fished by that boat in that date. It was frozen in that specific day, and it was sold to the supermarket on that day. So in theory, or at least I hope so, all of the like things that we buy in the future can be, after the technology evolves and allows for this, it can be like tracked on a blockchain.
Maybe 5 minutes we can take a break.
Of course, I'll finish my use cases and then we come back. I'm almost finishing this one. So who here has heard about the metaverse? Oh, pretty much everyone. Metaverse. Okay, so maybe just 1 or 2 people have not heard about it. Okay. So actually, I had planned for us to go to a metaverse, but only if we have time. At the end of the class, we'll enter the central end if we have time, which is the metaverse. But you can also have NFTs of real estate in the metaverse, which is not the same as tokenized real estate NFTs, which I will present in the second part of the class. So this is just an example. And then we have others. So these are like strange NFTs that I found. So you have Charmin, which is a company producing toilet paper. They have their own NFTs. You have non-fungible plants, which is a project that has actually not been launched yet. That's why I just have the logo. So I'm not sure what it can be, but it's being created. You have the first ever tweet by, well, it's not called Twitter anymore. It's called X. But Jack is one of the original founders, and he turned his NFT, his first tweet, as an NFT. It failed, okay? He thought it would be sold for millions. It wasn't. And then you have crypto stamps by CTT, which is the Portuguese postal company. I don't know if you knew about this. I was very sad to discover that they did not choose my law firm to do this project with them, because, I mean, come on. I don't know which law firm. I mean, I heard some rumors. I already know who they are, but I was very sad to know that they did not consult me. But yeah, you can go to any CTT store and you can buy a CTT crypto stamp. And then just the last thing, this is just some promotion. So my law firm actually launched their own NFT, which is a sculpture. It's a digital sculpture, which will take maybe a bit to load, but I can show you maybe after it loads. But yeah, we also, my law firm also has their own NFT. Okay, I'm just going to maybe go through this. I take 1 minute per slide. Okay, so then sovereign tokens, as I told you, is something very recent. They're actually NFTs. Guilherme is saying like
1 year in crypto is like a decade.
Yeah. So when I say it's kind of new, but they're a concept invented by Vitalik, who is one of the founders of Ethereum. Is a very big name in crypto. I think Tomas showed a photo of him in his class. But yeah, there are soulbound tokens. The name is soulbound because they are bound to just one person. So this is like super innovative. It can be used, for example, for your identification card, if it's turned into a Solon token, it's like just yours and it can never be transferred. Okay. It can be used for your certificate from a university. It can be used for your medical data. It can be used for like many different things. I'm going to skip this. This is like the NFT tech stack, but it's pretty much like all of yeah. Sure.
If I don't know if we have like vote for some kind of document like NDA protected that we could, if a professor wants to share it with the students, but they have to first sign NDA.
Not really, because the NDA needs to be signed by both parties, and this is something that can only be connected to one person. I mean, in theory, you can have Solon tokens for a group of people, but it's not really what it's being thought for. When you say sold, it's really because it's for one person.
It's like a personal.
Yeah, it's just for you.
Basically, the sold bound token or sold bound tokens is where it's the same as an NFT, but you can transfer.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's
yeah.
Okay, right? You can transfer your ID to another person. I mean, now with this woke generation, maybe.
This is kind of the next level of our ID card, basically.
Exactly. And in some countries, there are already some projects, just like in Spain, you already have like some projects that are trying to aggregate all of your identification cards. So like your ID, your driver's license into one like NFT or into one Solon token. Yeah.
And how can you use that?
Okay, so imagine that you go to a hospital. When you go to the hospital, they ask you like, oh, what is your name? What is your birth date? What are your medical conditions? Have you done any exams? In the future, if this all works out, and hopefully it will, you just go there, you have your own token with all of that data, and the hospital can only access, for example, not your name, but your exams, your past exams, and the doctor doesn't know who you are, for example, in some confidentiality things. Yes. Yes, I'm not going to talk about sovereign identity because that's Ricardo's specialty. He will talk about it on next. Ricardo's not here today. But yes, it's connected with sovereign identity and digital entity. Maybe we can do the break now, because after, when you come back, we will create our own NFT collection. And yeah, it doesn't take a while, because I'm going to fasten the process, but we can go for the break now.
Okay, guys, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You can leave the fun. Yeah, but great. Really, and you have really a nice face and a soothing voice. You can brush that off. Really. Really calm and relaxing. Nobody likes you record your own voice. Nobody likes it. I don't know, it's a scientific
Actually, one of the yeah, like
ground class connection, right?
so like in blockchain. So it's like yeah, but it's not really.
But crowd class connection
That's great.
The model here, so there's a lot of things that blockchain technology.
The whole advantage of this will happen, but agrees on one blockchain standard, then you don't need to go legalizing your certificates.
We some other friends saying
Yeah, so, yeah, but once it is already on the blockchain with the certified issuer, because now we have a blockchain without question.
That is always
Developed by MIT.
What you recognize is that. And I think it's good to create some
Eu acho que está no live. Não, mas
So I started. And then I got everything I had extra money. Then I went to see So be careful. You can one out. By now. Yeah, exactly. That's good. Right up open. No, I think they use these to the research. But yeah, there's not really want to become more
But I think that training. And then see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. Can I see this? Yeah. Yeah. So I just call it. Yes. Não, ser sincero, eu estava pequenininho, já era só isso. Sábado da vez que estávamos tudo bem, não fui de base, pelo menos eu levar a nível do planeta, não estava nada à espera que vai ser durante a vida dizer assim. Acreditava, nós andamos sempre neste ciclo. Mas para mim,
A new topic. We have different topics for each class. I was already in the Telegram. I haven't created yours, but I'll leave it now. Yeah. How can you do it?
Keep going. Yeah, it's up to you. Come on, of course. Yes, no, it's just. Assim, também está a formação, não. Yeah, e não tem nada a ver com o que está a fazer tipo um outro. Começa a tornar, estamos tipo assim.
Eu agora em novembro vou lá ensinar a especialidade.
Mas se for despachado e pronto.
Sim. Espero que no final.
Ele disse, ele já está a dizer isso. Também outra coisa, eu já disse isso, mas uma coisa, isso que és para a diz que deixei para. Eu acho que ele tem algum nome.
Eu sou embaixadora agora da Chainlink, fui aceite como embaixadora de Portugal. Foi o Luís que me disse. Thank you so much. If you want to join on Zoom, okay, so I will restart again. So NFT tech stack, I'm going to, this is not very interesting, I'm going to skip this. NFT marketplaces. So marketplaces are well, the place where you can buy and sell and trade NFTs, and you have several different ones. The most famous one is OpenSea. But you have like so many different ones. You have ones that are just focused on like art, others are just focused on profile pictures, others are just focused on something else. So there are many different types of marketplaces. And blockchains for NFTs. So some blockchains are better for creating and minting NFTs, which is the term used to say creating NFTs. Here you can find some of them. So obviously Ethereum is one of them, but you also have a Binance Smart Chain, which is not the same as a BNB, which is the token, it's the chain. You have Tezos, you have Polygon, you have Wax, which I don't even know about. You have Tron. So there are just many different blockchains. So I told you that we were going to create our own NFT collection. Actually, I already have this here. So I'm not going through all of the steps, but I created an NFT without coding, so I didn't take the time to code this. This is a platform that I found that I had never heard of before I was preparing for this course, but I pretty much created an NFT of our picture. So as you can see, I called it NCT because it was like, let me, actually, I don't know how I do this. I think it's because of the Zoom, it's getting a bit confused.
No, you just duplicate, maybe you can just duplicate your screen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know how to do that. It's some
Okay.
like
This one, huh?
maybe.
Sharing this. Yeah,
Ah,
and
yeah.
duplicate.
Oh yeah. Oh, now it's your picture here. Okay, so I created. Yeah, because now Zoom.
I will just.
Yeah, Zoom now is not sharing the screen because I'm sharing the screen there, so
Yeah.
it cannot share
Yeah,
both
yeah,
times.
now.
But okay, so I created an NFT. This is OpenSea. It's one of the marketplaces. So I created 25 NFTs, which, well, they're not really NFTs because they're all the same picture. And for yesterday, you created your own wallets. So I'm not going to do this right now, but when I have a little bit of time, I will airdrop this picture to your wallets. So for the people that put their wallets in the chat yesterday, Pedro sent me the chat. So I will airdrop them, and then you can see this is the one that is in my wallet. So then you have the picture as an NFT that I created. That's cool.
Drop it on BNB or
This is on a test net because I didn't want to waste my own tokens. So this is on Gorley testnet. So I was actually during the morning, I was mining. This is a faucet, which is a place where you go get test tokens, testnet tokens. So I spent the whole morning doing this so that I have enough testnet tokens to airdrop to all of you our own picture.
so we need to add this.
No, you don't need to do anything. You just need to, when I tell you, open your wallets and go to this. I have your addresses. I'm just going to airdrop them. I'm not going to do it live because I don't have time. But as soon as I have a little bit of time, I will airdrop them to you during this next week. And then in my next class, we can check if it worked. Okay. I know it works because I airdropped it to myself. But yeah, it's just a cool thing for you to have. Okay. Okay, so we go on to the third part of our class. So first, sorry, I need to change this again. I need to stop duplicating it.
Yeah.
Hi.
You share this screen.
Why is it not working now? Okay. Is it still?
No, because you selected PC screen, so it won't show on the monitor. You need to.
You don't have to click F1.
You need to click extend.
Oh.
And here, here share screen, and you can do screen 2. That's that screen. That will be shared.
Okay, great. Okay. I don't know why this came back. So. Okay, so token standards is just something that I told you that I was going to briefly cover. But these standards are like specific rules and protocols that are created for like a set of tokens. This is very important for interoperability between different tokens and different blockchains. So the most famous one is ERC20, which is like the one that was the token standard was created back when like Ethereum was created. This is for fungible tokens. Then one of these, I think it's the 721, is the token standard for NFTs. Then you have one that is for fungible tokens, where it has like some like more advanced things that it can do. So I mean, this list is, I put some of this, but if you ask me what is, for example, this one, I don't know by heart, because you can just create as many token standards as you want, and the industry keeps creating new token standards. For example, there's now one for real world assets that is still being tested. So it's just a way that just like you have other types of standards, for example, when you have like electric things or gas things that like it, or for example, the outlets that you use to like charge your, so they have to comply with like certain regulations in the EU. They all have like the same type of outlet. For the USB, they all need to have like this certain specification. For token standards, it's kind of the same thing. So so that the industry and the different actors can operate between themselves, and so that the tokens all comply with like the same rules. So I probably am not going to. Does anyone know do you all, or rather, do you all know about the Byzantine general problem? Like, do you all know what this is? So blockchain sorry, the Bitcoin blockchain solved this with like consensus mechanisms. Okay, so I'm okay, so I'm going to skip this. I'm going to skip this. I did this graphic. It's one of the ones that I did with the little soldiers, okay? But I'm going to skip this, but it's related to consensus mechanism. I'm also going to skip this QR code. Forget it, we don't have much time. We was just going to ask you what types of consensus mechanisms you knew. So different types of consensus mechanisms. I didn't do this one because this one is too complex. But yeah, you have 10. I'm going to present all 10 very, very briefly. You're already yawning, so we are all tired already. So I'm going to go through this quickly so that we can finish at 5, and we can all go home. So yeah, so the industry is evolving very, very quickly. So you have 10 here, but you probably already have like 10 more, okay? Because the industry needs to keep adapting and creating like new types of blockchains. And sometimes some blockchains come up with some new consensus mechanisms to solve a specific issue. This is also related, I think Anish talked about the blockchain trilemma. So it's not a dilemma, it's a trilemma, which is like scalability, whatever. So yeah, consensus mechanisms solve all of that. So proof of work, or POW, which is normally called like the like small version of it. So proof of work was originally the only consensus mechanism to exist. It was created with the Bitcoin blockchain, and it solves the Byzantine generals problem. It's like a trust problem. So this is related to mining. Why is it called proof of work? The work is the like amount of energy, amount of like electricity, hardware use that the miners have to like exploit or like use to in order to create like new crypto, or in this case like new bitcoins. And at the top I have which blockchains use this type of consensus mechanism. So you have, for example, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Monero. So they all use proof of work. So this one is all related to mining and how the miners do this work in order to get like rewarded with small pieces of Bitcoin, or small pieces of Dogecoin, small pieces of Monero. So I'm going also to skip this. I put these graphics on because many of you are interested in like sustainability and how is Bitcoin destroying the planet and is using so much energy. And yeah, so if you want, then this is from a website from a school in Oxford, like the University of Cambridge, I think. And they have like real-time graphics of how Bitcoin is consuming energy. This one is like from 2010 to 2023. As you can see, like energy consumption has gone up, obviously, because more people are using the Bitcoin blockchain and doing transactions. I don't have lots of time to explain this, but hopefully in the future we can use renewable energy to mine Bitcoin. And there are some initiatives of using like volcanoes and like other to like mine Bitcoin, so it's not as bad for the like pollution and climate. Okay, then we have proof of stake. So proof of stake was the second type of consensus mechanism to be created. It was created with Ethereum. That's why in there we have Ethereum, Polkadot, and Avalanche. And so the miners here, it's a bit different. So they don't really it's not the work that they have to prove that they did, it's the amount of tokens that they have like staked on the blockchain that kind of proves that they are doing like these transactions and that are being validated. So I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but normally proof of stake is seen as the cleaner consensus mechanism, so it's a bit better for the climate than proof of work. It's also safer, but it's also more centralized, because imagine that one of the miners, which in here they're not called miners, they're called validators. If they have like tons of tokens, it's kind of becomes a bit centralized, whereas with the Bitcoin blockchain, it doesn't really work like that. So I think Tomas will talk a bit about the merge, which is like the change of consensus mechanism of Ethereum. So it changed from proof of work to proof of stake. So this was very recent. So Ethereum was still using proof of work like Bitcoin until last year, I think. And then the merge was like this big happening in the crypto world. Everyone was like, oh my God, like two weeks for the merge, 1 day for the merge, 5 hours to the merge. So it was like a huge happening, huge milestone. But yes, Ethereum now officially uses proof of stake, which had already been created before, but Ethereum is not using it, and it has advantages and disadvantages like everything in life. Then we have proof of activity. This is actually a bit like a hybrid between proof of work and proof of stake. So you have like a mixture of like stakers and validators. If you ask me what are those logos up there, I have no idea anymore. So this is not a very well-known consensus mechanism, I think. Then you have a proof of authority. So this one is like a bit different. It's also has this risk of centralization, and it really depends on like the reputation of the validator. So some validators are going to be more well-known or have more reputation, so they can validate more transactions. So as you can imagine, this is quite centralized, and that's why the examples that we have is like JP Morgan, the bank has their own blockchain and they use proof of authority. So this is not so much for crypto. This is maybe more like for a traditional finance like use case. So it's not a very like a used not used very much this type of consensus mechanism. Proof of burn, as the name indicates, they actually burn the tokens. I don't know if you've heard about this term, like burning tokens. Yeah. So, sorry. Exactly. Yeah. So here I have some of examples. Is Slimcoin, Counterparty, Factum. These are also not very known tokens. But so the validators, the more coins that they burn, so when they burn, the tokens disappear from the market. They're like eliminated. They don't exist anymore. And so the more tokens that they burn, the more chances that they have to be chosen at random to be a validator of the transaction. So this is another type of consensus mechanism. And then we have a proof of capacity or proof of space. This one is actually super interesting because to be a validator, it means you have a lot of space in your computer. So as you can imagine, this is not for everyone. If you have like tons of computers in some company, obviously proof of space works. If you're using just, well, this is my law firm's computer, it doesn't have lots of space, I could never be a validator in one of these blockchains. So this one is like super centralized. It obviously has some advantages. And then we have proof of elapsed time. This one is actually not very well known also, but it pretty much forces you to have some forced times between the new blocks that are created. And then it has the advantage of being like more efficient, is more scalable. So probably in the future, when we see some new blockchains being created, this one is probably one of the consensus mechanisms that will be used instead of the other ones that I've showed you. And then we have proof of history. I think Anish told you a little bit about what timestamps on a blockchain were. But this one relies on time, unlike the timestamps of each block. For example, Solana, which is a very well-known blockchain, and their token is like top 10, I think. So it's quite well-known. They use proof of history. I think it was created with Solana. Then we have, for example, proof of importance. This is similar to the other one that I talked about, proof of reputation also. And then we go on to tokenization. Sure. So the validators, the more tokens that they burn, they have higher chances of being chosen as the validator. So obviously this has some impact on like the value of the token itself. So that's why this one is, I mean, these tokens that I have here, they're not very well known. So yeah, they probably always keep dropping in the market cap. Yeah, that's why I say here has the following consequences: greater currency, scarcity, increased demand. So it can actually drive up the token's value. So yeah, it can have that advantage or disadvantage.
So what they're doing is they're burning the token. So they increase again, or they decrease the number of tokens in theory to increase the value.
To increase the value, yeah.
Of the token. This is the
Mhm.
decision that they did a couple of months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
The chance of the shoes
Yeah,
in a random because the universe
becomes smaller, yeah. And if you say, oh, I burn this amount of tokens, you rise up the. But this one is like very, very specific.
I think this is very interesting also because people are willing to burn.
To burn tokens to get to be chosen as a validator, as
They are burning the tokens, okay, to be validated, again, to get more tokens, new tokens, right? But
and those tokens are already more scarce, so they are higher in value. Yeah, so this one is probably one of the most interesting ones, and I think we will see more applications of it. The other ones are, I think, a bit too specific. Yeah.
I just have a comment to make because you said proof of authority is not
Yeah.
very well known for public blockchain.
Mhm.
That's true, but I can think of an exception there. For example, one of the main Bitcoin sidechain, Liquid, that is, I believe that's a proof of authority, but they have decentralized it a lot because now they have, I think, almost 50 or 60 major crypto exchanges and very reputed players from all over the world. That blockchain is getting used a lot even for security tokens. So I just wanted to.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Starting with the evolution of Bitcoin, because it's a network of problems and a lot of transactions that basically it's required you to lock the token in the smartphone in order to approve the transaction. Why do they do that? Because they want you to buy the token and then store it, which will increase the value because there is fewer in circulation. This burn will basically throw off forever, which means that you need to buy the token too, and that allows you to have authority to approve transactions. There is some specifications that are not set, but that together with this proof of burn allow them to approve the. So it is an evolution of governance tokens, of these tokens that are dedicated to governance power, but in this case on chain.
And I think this is the beauty of it, because even when you destroy it, you have to ledger. It's amazing. Everything is being recorded. Even when you destroy something, you state that you destroyed this specific item or whatever. It's amazing. It's the blockchain is this. The way that it's set up and the way that really goes outside of the moment.
We all like for instance, never been in the past, so.
The concept is always
It's the same concept.
Yeah. I don't believe that we're inventing new things. It's just putting them in a different way. Okay. But here, usually when you delete something, let's put it on the digital concept. When you press delete, you have X days to recover. After that, the deleting here, you actually delete, but you don't delete. You delete the concept of everything, but you still have a record that you did. So that's the interesting thing.
Yeah, everything is recorded. Even the deletion part is like it's recording exactly like which token was. Yeah. Okay, any more questions on this? This is a bit abstract because I didn't start with an introduction, but we don't have much time. Okay, so we are reaching the final part of this presentation. I think I'll still be able to finish at 5. So what is asset tokenization? Can anyone give me like, what is for you like asset tokenization? Does anyone want to answer? You have here some like news that like tokenization is the future and we will tokenize everything. And if you tokenize it, yeah, it becomes a real thing on the digital without destroying, or in theory, not destroying the physical part. Yeah. Okay, so normally we call these physical assets, and I think Pedro explained yesterday, they are called real world assets, or RWAs. So they are assets that exist, like this table, it's a physical one, but they have a representation as a token, and many times this representation is done through an NFT, although it can be done by a security token also, because you have like a stock or a bond, and then you have the tokenized stock or bond, which is an RWA, kind of. Okay, so what do you think can be tokenized? So pretty much everything can be tokenized, but we need to distinguish between tangible assets and intangible assets. So both of them can be tokenized, and it's much easier to understand the tokenization of tangible assets, which are things that you see, but you can also tokenize ownership rights, patents, intellectual property rights, voting rights. I mean, you can tokenize everything. And they can also be called real world assets, although normally that concept is only associated with things that you can see and touch. Okay, so I'm going to sit because I'm a bit tired. But how is tokenization of an asset achieved? Please note that these steps were invented by me. Okay, so there's not like a legal framework for tokenization yet. Well, in Portugal, there's no framework. Some other countries already have a list of legal steps that you have to follow, for example, to tokenize real estate, or tokenize a painting, or tokenize a car. This is just a general list that I came up with when I was doing some research, as I was a research fellow for a Web3 company, and I came up with this list on how to tokenize, in theory, any asset. So the first step is that you need to choose a physical asset to tokenize, and this, yeah.
Sorry. Expression tokenization even regarding the token, fungible one or non-fungible one.
Yes, of course. Most of this, since you are tokenizing, for example, a car, you're probably going to use an NFT because you want it to be that car. When you're tokenizing a painting, it's that painting. There's only that painting in the world. So normally it's done through NFTs. Obviously, if you have like a million bonds and they're in theory all the same, although they can have like registry number 1, registry number 2. Can also be an NFT, but it can also be, for some other assets, it can be a type of token. But yes, when you say tokenization, it's just transforming an asset into a token, transforming a right into a token. So tokenization is just a broad term. Here we are just talking about tokenization of real-world assets. So assets like this table, or this computer, or this bottle of water. So real assets that exist in the real world. All these terms are a bit confusing. If you want, then I can share a paper that will be published very soon that I wrote, that it's some self-promoting here. But I explain a little bit like the term RWAs and what all of this is. So first we need a physical asset to tokenize, and that asset needs to be audited. So a third party or the company that wants to tokenize it needs to look into the asset, for example, a car, a machine, a painting, and it needs to be audited so that you can verify its value and its characteristics. Secondly, you need to choose the type of token. So this is where Florbella's question was. You can choose many different types of tokens to use. Normally, you choose an NFT. That's why I have there an NFT icon, because NFTs tend to be the most efficient and the best solution to tokenize physical assets. Third, before issuing the token, it's very important to choose in which jurisdiction are you doing all of this, because some jurisdictions like Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Switzerland, they have better legal frameworks, legal and compliance frameworks to tokenize your assets. So they already have a framework prepared for it. It's not like going to some country and just saying, oh, I want to tokenize this, and you have no framework to do that. So you can tokenize it, but in theory, then you cannot in the real world, you cannot like sell it or offer it to your investors. Then you must choose like the tokenization platform. So right now there are many different platforms. There's Tokeny, there's Quicken. There are some platforms that are just tokenizing, for example, just real estate or just luxury art or items. So you need to choose a platform that offers tokenization as a service. And they take care of all the technical requirements for tokenization. So they create the token, they choose a blockchain to launch it in. They can also have like a secondary market where the investors can trade then those tokens between themselves. And then obviously you have like the smart contract, which I think all of you already know what a smart contract is. I think Tomas maybe or Pedro talked about that. So yeah, in the smart contract, there will be the most important characteristics of the token encoded in there. So like the circulating supply, what is being tokenized. And sometimes the smart contract can also have an oracle, which is like a data feed that gets information from the real world. Imagine that the asset gets destroyed. For example, you're tokenizing a car or a painting or a house, and it gets on fire, it is destroyed. So does the token also get destroyed? If there is an oracle in the smart contract, it can like lower or put the price higher according to like the specific real-time events that are happening to the asset. For example, a house doesn't really have a fixed value. So at least here in Portugal, houses keep going up. So if you have an oracle tied to the real world asset, you can also have the token price fluctuating. So this is a very interesting part of tokenization of real world assets. So then there's another very important thing called custody, and I think you had quite a extensive explanation on custody today in the morning, which means that our classes are very well organized because all of the concepts are all connected with each other. So then you're tokenizing an asset, you need to give it to some verified third party to ensure its safety. Obviously, with a house, you can't not like take the house and put it in like a vault or in some custody bank. But if it's a painting, if it's a car, if it's a machine, in theory, you can put this in a storage. And then finally, there's the final step, which is the distribution. The token gets launched. The investors buy the token and they get launched into the market. Okay, I have around 10 minutes, so I'm okay. So what are like the key benefits of tokenization? This is seen from a perspective of the company. So why would a company tokenize their own assets? So first you have increased liquidity because, for example, right now, when you buy a house, well, normally there's only like one person buying an apartment or two people, or I mean, you normally don't have like 20 people buying like a T1, which is here in Portugal, it's a house with just one room. But if you tokenize that apartment, you can give the opportunity of several different investors all around the world to invest in that same house or in that same apartment. So it increases liquidity. Yeah.
It's like a corporate bonds, like you wanted to construct some big things like hydroelectric, but you don't have the money, so you can sell the investment.
That's more crowdfunding.
I don't know the name. It's corporate bond. In Portuguese, it's the bank.
Yeah, you can divide bonds.
Yeah.
And
To invest, and then you will pay. There's
every
something
month
like that.
they
Yeah.
pay over.
Yeah, you can do that also. Here you can, like, for example, there's a house instead of selling it to one person, you tokenize it, you sell it like small parts of the house for 20 people. And then, for example, someone is living in that house. So you're getting like the rent, and then the rent is divided. And if you have 5 tokens, you receive like interest. If you have 20 tokens, you receive even more. But this has many different variations. So this is one possible way of tokenizing, for example, this real estate. For example, I had a client that wanted to tokenize a spa in Thailand. So it can be a solution for everything. That's the beauty of tokenization. It can be used for everything.
The client was a smart.
Yeah, but then they didn't pay the legal fee, so they never tokenized anything. But they wanted to tokenize a spa in Thailand, and the people that got the tokens could, in theory, if you had like 100 tokens, you could redeem it for like 1 day at the spa, for example. And you also got like not royalties, but like some of the revenue that the spa did because you held the tokens. So you were owner of a little part of the spa. When I say spa, it can be a hotel, it can be a co-working space. I will present you an example, a real example that is tokenizing a co-working space here in Portugal, if I have time. And then some other benefits of tokenization for companies, for example, automation. So if the token is connected to a smart contract, all of these steps can be automated. So you don't need anyone to like showing the house, selling the house. I mean, you don't have like any intermediary. It's all done through the token. It's all done through your computer. So you're getting the royalties or the revenue, and it's all automated. So it reduces some logistical challenges. Yeah.
So this is looking like, for example, if it's a small company, yeah, you don't have an IPO yet, but people.
But you have assets. So small and medium companies, I mean, you have your office, you have a machine because you operate some you have invoices. This is, I will give an example just on tokenizing invoices. So every single business has invoices. So actually the topic of my research that I did for 6 months was how tokenization could help small and medium companies get funding, not from a traditional way, but on DeFi. So then another benefit is obviously increased transparency. Everything is recorded on a blockchain, so it can be audited by everyone. You have immutability, meaning that the information that is recorded on the blockchain cannot be changed. So everyone, investors, creditors, regulators, everyone can see what is going on. Increased accessibility, for example, not everyone can invest in a house, but if you get like a small share of the house through a tokenized NFT of the house, you can access this this asset. Also monetization, if the real world asset is generating income in the real world, if it's tied to a token, you're also getting some monetization out of it. Authenticity, because as you saw with my hoodie, NFTs can record the authenticity of an asset and saying that it's real, it exists. Because I mean, you don't know if the SPY exists in Thailand or not. You're not going to visit Thailand to see, oh, my investment is here, this exists. If it's recorded in the blockchain, you have, for example, the public deed or like the contract, the rental contract of the spa recorded on a blockchain, you know that it's true. You don't need to see it with your own eyes. You don't need to travel to Thailand to see it. And then security, obviously, blockchain is very secure, and you know, like all of this, all of these things. But we don't only have benefits and advantages, we obviously also have some risks and challenges. So technical challenges, as with any technology, blockchain also has its own technical challenges. I think Anish told you about the 51% attacks. So, I mean, this can also happen in these types of blockchains that have RWA assets, asset-backed tokens on top of them. You have legal and regulatory uncertainty. I mean, if you want to tokenize real estate, it's not very easy because for you to buy and sell real estate right now, at least in Portugal, it needs to be done through a public deed contract. It needs to be certified by a notary. So it's not, you cannot do it, for example, through a smart contract right now. Okay, it's not possible. Dispute resolution. So obviously there's the potential for disputes. If there's a business with two parties, one party can always disagree with the other one. So, I mean, I'm not really seeing people going to court and saying, oh, I bought a tokenized car from this person in India. Like, how can I solve this? And the judge will look at you like, what is a token? What is blockchain? What is all of this? But I will cover that in my next class, which will be the centralized courts. So I think those are the courts of the future. And then you have governance issues. I think from what we have seen with all these crypto project failures, most of them were based actually on governance. For example, the FTX collapse, we don't have Guilherme here with us anymore, but the FTX collapse wasn't really related to crypto. It was, in my opinion, at least, it was related to a governance issue and the way that they were managing the companies. So obviously here, you can also have these issues. And then standardization or the lack of it. Right now, we actually already have a token standard for RWAs, for real-world assets. But when I was starting to research about this, there was no token standard. So it was very difficult for companies to connect with each other and work with each other because there was no token standard for this. And some tokens some more token standards are being created. Okay, so I think I already explained this a little bit, but right now there is like a huge global trade finance gap between the amount of credit that is available in the market and the amount that companies need for financing. And this is especially true for micro, small, and medium companies, which are called like SMEs. For example, I think in Portugal, it's like 99% of companies are small and medium companies. So Portugal is actually a really good example of how this tokenization financing could work. Is it being applied? No, people don't know what a token is. So we are still we still need many more years until this actually happens, and then we have all the regulatory challenges. But in some countries, tokenization, financing through tokenization is already being used. And I mean, you have here some data that I took, but it's estimated that the total like market cap size of illiquid tokenized assets can be 16.1 trillion. So this is huge, and that's why so many tokenization companies are now appearing, because they realized, oh, we can make money with this. I'm almost ending. So some possible legal disputes around tokenization of RWAs. You have ownership, because just because you own the token, do you also own the asset? If you own like the token of a car, are you the legal owner of that car? Probably not, but it always depends on what is coded into the smart contract. So for example, with like this hoodie, I am the owner of the hoodie, although I don't have a contract for this. And I also own the NFT. For example, with those watches that I showed you, will also be the owner of the physical asset and the owner of the digital asset or the digital representation of it. This is, for example, the Liechtenstein has a law called the Liechtenstein Token Act, where they actually talk about the ownership. So they are very, very advanced in the legal part of this. You also have intellectual property rights. For example, if you have that NFT of a painting, do you own like the intellectual property of that painting? Can you reproduce it? Can you sell the reproduction of your NFT? So there are like a million questions here that can be discussed. And sometimes the smart contract itself says that if you own the NFT, you cannot, for example, display it in a commercial gallery. You cannot sell it, and you can only display it in your own house, for example. Some NFTs already come with like that disclaimer. And there's actually, if you want to read more about this, you can search for the Meta Birkin case. You know, like those Birkin handbags, they're like luxury handbags. Someone actually created NFTs out of those handbags, and he was sued by the company. And he lost the case in the US. So if you want, you can search about this. Then you have a very important thing, and I'm almost almost ending. I have 1 minute. Which is the verification off-chain of the RWA in the mismatch of its digital representation. This is probably the biggest issue that currently exists with tokenization of RWAs, and that's why oracles are so important, because they are getting information from the real world. And imagine that there's an earthquake, like there is that icon here, and the building disappears. And then you have tokens, and they have a value that is not real because they were tied to an asset that doesn't exist anymore. So you can have an insurance for the building, and then you can have an insurance for the token. Yeah, but then the token itself had to be tied to the insurance company, which probably doesn't know about this whole tokenization. So the insurance company also needed to be in on this whole tokenization process, because then the insurance money gets paid to the owner of the building, but not the owner of the tokens, which can be like people all around the world. So there's like tons of legal issues and jurisdiction issues here. That's why I also have that.
But once you construct the building, so the tokens that is already sold, unless that the owner.
Maybe not. Imagine that it only gets like reconstructed 20 years later, and that piece of land is not worth the same, and you still have a token from 20 years ago that is valid at nothing. So this has tons of issues. Yeah.
To always have it equal as the first time that it's generated.
Okay, so here are just
Insurance pay if you have to review
the real world asset. Yeah. Yeah, this is all very complicated. So here are just
Either it's there or will be destroyed.
yeah.
Building.
Imagine that it's like a lot of buildings that they're all tokenized.
Yeah.
So tons of issues. But here are just some examples. You can search for these companies if you want. I cannot go into detail, but tokenization of real estate, you have, for example, Realty, which is a company in the US that is tokenizing lots of houses. It's like very well known. It's probably the first one, the first major company to actually tokenize real estate. Here in Portugal, have Algae, which was founded by a French guy that came here and started tokenizing co-working spaces. Then you have tokenization of wine or other alcoholic beverages. You can also tokenize it. You have, for example, Metavini, it's a Portuguese NFT marketplace. And then you have Percent Whiskey, which is just tokenizing whiskey. You have tokenization of carbon credits. This is super relevant. This is a use case that is becoming very popular nowadays because countries can sell some of their carbon credits to other countries. And if you're tokenizing, it's much easier and much faster. You have Toucan and you have Decentra, which is also actually not tokenizing carbon credits, but whole forests. So if you want to look into that, you can look into that also. Tokenizing like trees and other plants. Tokenization of invoices. And just a disclaimer, I'm an ambassador for this startup, so I'm totally like self-promoting them. But yeah, they're tokenizing invoices. They're working on tokenizing lots of things in the traditional finance in the supply chain. Their name, D-Factor, and Anish, can you take a picture? Thank you, because I need to post it. Sorry. I have the disclaimer there, okay? I'm the ambassador for Lisbon and for Portugal, okay? But yeah, their name, D-Factor is actually this. I think all of you know what factoring is, but it's a way of like in traditional finance to sell your invoices and get some money out of that, or like yeah, I'm not going to go into it, but their name is actually like factoring plus DeFi. That's why it's called D-Factor. So they were actually one of the first companies to do this of tokenizing invoices, and now obviously some other companies are copying it already, but they've been quite successful at that. And then if you want to scan this QR code, this is the last slide. You can also tokenize your own career, okay? And this is a link to join Talent Protocol. They were actually going to be one of the startups to come on our last day, but they will all be traveling, so they cannot come. That's why I am doing this slide now. So Talent Protocol, think about it as like LinkedIn based on blockchain. So you have your own token. For example, I have this token, which is my name. and people are investing in me when they buy my token, or they are investing in my career. And yeah, it has like tons of features. I cannot present it. I'll also post this link on our Telegram chat. But it's also a really good way if anyone here is starting out and wants a job in the blockchain world. They also have many different jobs available, and it's a way to, instead of using LinkedIn, if you use Talent Protocol, you can connect with other people working on the blockchain world. And actually this year I got a scholarship from them to go to a conference in Paris. So, and I have around 30 investors in my career, which are like believing in my future career, and I'm actually getting money out of that because my token is valued at a certain value already, and I get rewards from people that are investing in me, and I'm also investing in other people that I believe in. So I think this is the future of like career and HR and LinkedIn. And yeah, then I had a Q&A here, which I don't think we have time, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I have one question. I worked on the carbon credits market several years ago,
Okay.
before 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I researched it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I understood, the National Emission Trading Association provided guidelines on blockchain use in carbon markets. So
yeah, so this is already a use case. Yeah. I mean, you have countries like Brazil, India already tokenizing like their own carbon credits. So this thing will be it will be huge. Okay, so that's why there are like several companies already that are trying to get into this space, because then you sell this service to governments all around the world and you're rich.
when I worked before 2010, the deal was performed by
Yeah, of course. Now it's all digital. Yeah, so that's why you also have these token standards. And for example, you have one for RWAs, which carbon credit can be considered one of them. So I think in the next years, maybe the token, because right now all you hear about is tokenization of real estate. Like I would say every week there's a client that comes to my law firm that wants to tokenize real estate. So it's always the same, and they always go there and they think, oh, I'm the first one to do this. And I'm like, no, you're not. I've been doing this since like 2020. And carbon credits, I think it will be like the next big thing on tokenization. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I may say I started with blockchain because of carbon market. So I finished my master's and the company, we were like the best one doing this. And if you want to learn more, there's DAO, Offset, I can send a few links. I left the industry because think about combining two industries that are so complicated, mentally to get the idea of like blockchain and then saving the planet and also tokenizing trillions. So people in the beginning, they were considering policies things. So basically, oh, how come are you using sustainable projects in Brazil? How are you transferring funds from this crypto to the people who are there locally? So yes, it's amazing. I think it is the future, but it's also polemic. So if you want to learn more, read more, the voluntary carbon market and tokenizing is something interesting. But don't go too deep because you're going to be like, right.
But what is this advantage of tokenizing the carbon credit?
So basically, the first company I was working for, we created a carbon offsetting calculator. So you could copy and paste your digits or your wallet address, and we would give your carbon footprint of your blockchain transactions. So it would be like, okay, so English, she's rich, has a lot of money, and she's gonna be like paying 10 tonnage of carbon. So we would offer her the possibility to offset the whole amount of transactions that she has, and then also help sustainable projects.
Yeah, because the carbon credit part has a lot to do with like this global law, which is like the Kyoto Protocol, I think. where countries can offset their carbon credits. So if they have more, they can sell it to other countries that have less, because they all need to like reach a certain minimum. So tokenization allows for these international transfers to happen instantly and securely.
Yeah,
So-
transparency as well.
And transparency, exactly, because if some country in Africa is selling their carbon credits to like India or China, I mean, as you can see, tons of issues can happen here. So blockchain solves some of them.
When it was made paper, there was a lot of problems, paper is more common to.
Yeah.
To sell carbon credits from public areas, that's not
And
allowed.
the whole-
So.
Selling the same.
Yeah, whereas blockchain obviously solves the double. Yeah.
Do you use scandal in France because of that? Or is it all about coming?
No, that's the people gate. That's something else.
No, that's a different one. Definitely selling carbon bonds, right?
Yeah,
But fake carbon.
fake.
Right. Between other companies.
Okay, so I don't know I think I covered everything. This was, if you have any more questions, you could just put it on the Telegram. And Florella texted me, I just saw, for like, there is at least one company that I know that is also my law firm's clients. They're doing rental agreements on blockchain. So I think maybe that's something that you would be interested at. I can send you their websites. They're based in Switzerland. We're trying to move here. And yeah, they do like rental agreements, tokenized.
There is a research in what watching for real estate transactions was mostly focused on mortgage. Mainly there's
Yeah, mortgage on the,
Yeah, I think it's people. When here.
yeah. I actually don't know of like any example that is specifically doing mortgage. So I cannot tell you any. I don't know if it even exists, because that has lots of legal and regulatory implications. Sorry?
I forgot her name of the girl, but her name is Patricia. I'm not trying to send it to you. She was at a Web3 conference in Nova. She was
Okay.
talking, were you there?
I go to so many events, I don't know.
Blockchain 3.0 conference in Nova. And she was there. She was talking about mortgage in Patricia. I was saying,
I don't know.
because she's doing this in Portugal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know legally how it works, but
Yeah, I mean, so sometimes people are doing things, but they're not really doing it.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know if you saw some news last year of like, first Bitcoin transaction of a house. There was a house that was sold. Okay, that was my law firm also, and me. So that was like the first legally compliant Bitcoin bought house. Okay, obviously this had been done before, starting in 2018, but it was not compliant. So that's why it came out on the news as like first house in Portugal bought with Bitcoin. So sometimes people do things, sometimes they're not really doing it. Mhm. Yeah, it's your research. So yeah, but I don't know of any example. Maybe Rafaela can give you the name of that person. Okay, so if you have any more questions, just put it on the Telegram and I will answer during this week. And maybe now we can take just a picture like we did with Guillermo, so that we can post on no one's
Can you stand there? So, wait, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, let me take from one more angle here. Yeah. 1, 2. Maybe you can all raise your hands or something. Yeah, looks cooler. But one more time. 1, 2, 3. Great. Yeah. So I know you are tired, but you have at least one day of the weekend to go and rest.
Great, thank you.